Watch this.
A 6-month, very public back and forth over a stack of public papers. Idaho's lieutenant governor lost her legal battle with the Idaho Press Club and finally released the records request. It almost cost her jail time. But it could cost taxpayers too. These days, it doesn't take much to help our healthcare heroes. Sometimes, something small is enough to make our overworked doctors and nurses smile. At least this group of friends hope so. And in case you forgot, it's Friday! What's got you in a good mood on this October 1st? Probably sunshine and fall colors on this Feel Good Friday. Well, Idaho's lieutenant governor is no longer under a threat of jail time. Yesterday, she turned over a big stack of documents requested by journalists way back in April. It only took a lawsuit, a petition for contempt of court, and a second order by a judge to get it done. Oh, and it may come at a significant cost to you, the Idaho taxpayers. How much? How about $50,000? But let's first lay out how we got here. Audrey Dutton with the Idaho Capital Sun, one of the plaintiffs in this case, laid this out nicely back in June. Back in April, Lieutenant Governor McGeehan announced she was starting a task force to look into the possibility of critical race theory being taught in Idaho classrooms. She called it the Education Task Force, and she would be the co-chair, along with Representative Priscilla Giddings. They're going to hold 4 meetings that were going to begin in June and go throughout the summer. But the day after that announcement, on April 21st, several reporters from the Capital Sun, Idaho Ed News, and the Idaho Statesman requested completed copies of the online form the Lieutenant Governor was asking people to fill out for these meetings. A public records request. It's a common tool used by journalists to get facts and information. Well, they were wanting a Google spreadsheet with all this information. On May 4th, Jordan Waters, Lieutenant Governor's spokesman, responded to that request saying there were about 3,600 comments, and he provided a general breakdown of the data. But Waters also said in fulfilling the records request, they were going to redact all names, emails, and, quote, personally identifying information, end quote, at a cost to the media companies that ran anywhere from $560 to $1,540. And everyone wanted to know why. Well, about 2 weeks later, May 20th, Waters quoted an Idaho code that forbid sharing personal identifying information of a private citizen in their correspondence with an Idaho member of the Idaho legislature. And since Representative Priscilla Giddings was on that task force, well, that gave them coverage for not disclosing that information. Then the Idaho Press Club and lawyers got involved, who sent a letter to the Lieutenant Governor's office saying that exemption, well, it didn't apply in this case. And they demanded unredacted records be turned over by May 27th, to which Waters responded, "We are working with the AG office on a response." On June 2nd, Lieutenant Governor's office reiterated they weren't going to provide the spreadsheet, or they would, I should say. They would provide the spreadsheet, but not the contact information. Waters claimed it was outside the scope of the public records request. A day later, Waters sent the spreadsheet, but names, contact information, and the comments were completely blacked out. He also didn't provide an Idaho law that would explain the reasoning for the redaction. A redaction would be a partial denial of the request, and in order to do that, Idaho public records law requires an explanation. Then on July 19th, the Press Club lawyers, well, they'd had enough, and they filed a lawsuit. A decision came down on August 27th. Ada County 4th District Judge Stephen Hippler ruled in favor of the Press Club, saying McGeehan's refusal to fulfill the request was a, quote, bad faith violation of the Idaho public records law. He even called a Facebook post of hers about the media request fear-mongering and said her reasons to withhold the documents from public view were so baseless and frivolous, not only should she turn them over immediately, but she's going to pay the Press Club's legal fees and a $750 fine for the trouble. Lieutenant Governor McGeehan, well, she didn't agree. And on September 15th, she filed a petition asking for relief from judgment, which is basically asking the judge to reconsider and change his ruling. She claimed she should have those exemptions. And also she claimed she didn't get good advice from Idaho's Attorney General. That's Lawrence Wasden, who is basically the state's law firm. But apparently he refused to represent Lieutenant Governor in this lawsuit. Now that's a good part to remember. A full month goes by since the ruling, still no documents released. So the Press Club attorneys, they filed a petition this week on September 29th, that was Wednesday, against Lieutenant Governor for contempt of court for not turning over the unredacted documents. And in this petition, they ask a judge to detain McGeehan in jail until she does. Well, the next day, yesterday, Lieutenant Governor did finally release the documents after being ordered a second time and facing jail time. So it took nearly 6 months and legal action for Lieutenant Governor to fulfill a basic public records request. But there's a date in that timeline that we left off, and it has to do with that $50,000 that we mentioned. This whole debacle could end up costing Idaho taxpayers. End of August, early September, state agencies have been submitting and started submitting their budget requests for fiscal year 2023. Everything from Boise State to Health and Human Services to the Office of the Treasurer. Well, under the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, dated August 31st, on page 8, the Lieutenant Governor added a one-time supplemental operating expense request for $50,000. She called it professional services. And the reason for it, she writes, is, quote, due to unforeseen legal bills related to a lawsuit from the Idaho Press Club after the Attorney General's office failed to properly represent the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. Office of the Lieutenant Governor was forced to find outside counsel following the abrupt termination of counsel and guidance from the Attorney General's office after almost 2 months. That's the explanation. In the explanation of why this emergency $50,000 is needed, unforeseen legal bills that cannot be covered by the office's current budget. Now, without reducing staff hours and constituent services, she says. And if they don't get this money, this $50,000, the request states right here on page, well, let's call it page 9, if they don't get it, they're going to have to devote resources from operating costs or maybe close the office and furlough their only full-time employee. It's worth noting, the Lieutenant Governor's office has as staff 3 full-time employees. That'd be Lieutenant Governor's spokesperson, Jordan Waters, as we mentioned, and one of which of those positions is vacant right now. It's the same one that was increased from part-time to full-time this past legislative session. $50,000, an estimate for current and future legal bills, it says. Future legal bills. So will there be more? Well, we reached out to Lieutenant Governor McGeehan to see if she would talk to us about this request. We have yet to receive a response, although we do know it should be an interesting JFAC meeting when this does come up. What can I do to help? Well, it's a question we've heard a lot recently when it comes to supporting healthcare workers. Recent weeks, days have been, well, some of the hardest our frontline workers have had to deal with. To be honest, there doesn't seem to be an end in sight right now, especially given what we've seen when it comes to the projections that they're handing out this week. Healthcare leaders have called on the community. We need your support, they say, in some way. A group of friends thought they could do something small to show that appreciation, and now they're inviting the community to join them. Joe Paris takes us to Garden City, where tonight the focus centers on thanking healthcare workers in a colorful way.
Oh, I'm an artist. I have a show here tonight. I have a studio at home and I paint.
Canvas is usually the backdrop for Sally Stevens.
That's what I do most of the time.
More recently, Stevens has taken her art to a harder surface.
Well, rocks are a lot easier. They're a lot easier and a lot quicker. Instant gratification.
The move to rocks isn't about it being the hard or easy way. The inspiration comes from her neighbor, a critical care nurse at St. Luke's.
I asked her, what can I do to help? And she just said, maybe paint some rocks, you know, that would be a really easy thing to do. So my friends and I just gathered a bunch of rocks and we painted.
The paint powers messages of support.
Thank you, you are golden, we love you, good karma, you are a star, you're strong, you're brave. Mostly thank you, and you rock. That's another one.
Stevens says from the stories her neighbor tells her alone, it's apparent healthcare workers need our support.
It's been draining. It's really hard, and they've lost so many people, and they've actually lost some of their staff, which has been really hard. And she has 4 children, and she still works like 12 hours a day or whatever, you know. She's working really hard. I wanted to give back. I want to do what I can to help the poor medical people that are just struggling with this pandemic. And you see them on TV and they're worn down, they work so hard, and what can we do? And this is a small gesture.
Stevens is working with St. Luke's to place the rocks outside their hospitals for healthcare workers to see as they go in and out. The small sediment gesture may soon grow much larger. Stevens is now inviting the community to paint with her. It helps answer a community question. What can I do?
It's a catharsis, you know, it's like I can help a little bit with this rock that says I love you or thank you or whatever. And then the people who receive it know that the community has their back.
As she creates, Sally Stevens says she thinks about the people who have worked for months inside our hospitals.
Those people are definitely heroes. There's so many, you know, it's the nurses, the doctors, the aides, the housekeeping, everybody. They're all working so hard. And it's like, we need to let them know we care.
Painting on canvas is certainly still a priority, but rocks will likely continue for a while.
I don't think the pandemic's going to be over anytime soon. So I think painting rocks is going to be something that we're going to be doing for a while.
All right, Joe, I'm sure a lot of people see that and go, okay, how can we help with this? How can we paint enough rocks to cover the entire entrance of all St. Luke's hospitals?
So actually at 5:30 today at Urban Gallery in Garden City, Sally Stevens, the artist we just heard from, she has a table that you saw out in that story. She's asking anybody to come by and paint rocks and write a message on it. I know I'll be there. I know a lot of our coworkers are going to head down right after work. And I know that it may not be convenient tonight from 5:30 to 8:30, but as you heard Sally say, they're anticipating they're going to do this more and more. And when I speak with our friends over at St. Luke's, they say, well, we're really hoping this spreads to other parts of the state as well, and gestures like this.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling, whether it be Sally's event or another community event, we're going to see a lot of rocks being painted and placed outside of St. Luke's, St. Al's, Primary Health, everywhere. It's a small gesture we can do, but when you talk to healthcare workers, it really does mean a lot.
It would be cool if a lot of people showed up there tonight and subsequent nights, and they could fill these up by the truckload and bring them to these hospitals. That would be great.
And one thing healthcare workers can do is they can pick up one of these rocks that
Yeah.
say, thank you, you're valued. They can put it right in their pocket and feel it with them all day if they ever need a reminder.
That's true, and you can feel it right there in your pocket all day long. All right, good story, Joe. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, just months ago, back in May, there was a school shooting in Rigby, Idaho. A sixth grader brought a gun to the middle school, shot 2 students and a custodian. All 3 victims did survive. It was a nightmare, though. It was a nightmare ending to the school year, for sure. But then, to begin this school year, just last Thursday on September 23rd, another 13-year-old Rigby middle school student was found with a gun. Jefferson County Sheriff Steve Anderson says the girl was found in a bathroom by the school resource officer with a firearm hidden in her backpack. The sheriff says the girl never pointed the gun at anyone. There weren't any shots fired, and no one was injured. But after these 2 incidents happened, school officials, well, they weren't about to take any more chances. So hours after that girl was arrested for bringing a gun to school, the Jefferson School District Superintendent Chad Martin announced they're banning backpacks across the district effective immediately. This was the announcement they posted on the school district's Facebook page. And the bans would go into effect across Rigby Middle School, Farnsworth Middle School, and both Rigby and Jefferson High Schools. So the backpacks were banned. And while this was because of a very serious and heavy matter, some students there decided to try to lighten the mood a bit and get creative in how they would carry their supplies to school and to class. This is a video we found on the popular app TikTok. Maybe you've heard of it. A student took this video at Rigby High School showing some unique new and improved backpacks on the first day of the official ban. As you can see, some of these high schoolers took the new rule seriously, made sure they had some clear, easy to see book carriers. But we just wanted to look at a little closer. You have to respect the dedication these kids put in, don't you? Video moved kind of fast, as TikTok videos usually do. But let's slow it down and show you some of the best new backpacks that they are using over at Rigby High. This student decided they were going to push their books around in a very handy miniature cart. You can see that. Pretty sure this one is meant for toddlers, to buy those pretend groceries. Works the same way, though. It carries stuff. Another student had a stroller, sans kid, this whole kind of theme of No Child Left Behind, or textbook, apparently, for health class. Another student brought his laundry basket of books to class, which is good, could serve double duty, right? You could always fill it with those ripe gym clothes. I see your plastic play mini grocery cart, and I raise you a real one. I'm pretty sure this is illegal, right? You're not allowed to remove these shopping carts from store parking lots, are you? Another student decided to truck their stuff along with the trusty old little red wagon. See it in their distance there. Another student brought an actual fish tank to school to carry their books, which is fitting because, well, they're in school, right? This one brought a rolling cooler, which I'm sure is only filled with actual textbooks. And last but not least, this student didn't even use his hands to carry his stuff. You can see, dragging a sled. Yeah, it looks like a sled or a flotation device, one of those things. Yeah, that's a sled as his preferred bag of choice. No backpacks, no problem. They not only followed the rules there at Rigby High, but they made sure to have some fun with it as well. You know, look for the silver lining. Our only question was, when we saw this video, was what happened to the lockers? Oh yeah, it's finally Friday and we're feeling good. Let's wrap up the work week with some gorgeous autumn weather, which is why we took today's work outside to find out what you're feeling on this fall Friday. Before you head out the door to enjoy what's left of the sunshine, why not send us a text first? We want to hear any and all questions and comments and, yeah, even your complaints. We won't go home until we read all of them either, but we're going to try to read a few at the end of the show. 208-321-5614. The text line is open. All right, with September full on in the rear view, we are fully into fall here on the 1st of October. Sunny and 75 out there. You'd be hard pressed to find anyone out there who wouldn't say early autumn in the city of trees, well, in any place in Idaho for that matter, really is the best time of year. And we tried. We headed out to Catherine Albertson's Park with a camera and a microphone this afternoon where the leaves aren't only changing, they are starting to fall. We were looking for some good news, a Feel Good Friday fall edition. Some good news.
Yes, the good news was this park. I hadn't been here in years. Gave it a try yesterday and was amazed. It was beautiful. So beautiful that I called up my friend and said, you got to check it out.
You guys are out for a nice walk today.
Yes, sir.
Why today?
Look at it. This is Idaho. Look at this beautiful place. You don't step outside and enjoy it, it's your own fault.
This is baby Blaine. He's 2 weeks old yesterday.
2 weeks old yesterday?
Yeah, so he'd be my good news. Not being pregnant anymore.
What are you doing?
Well, we found some beautiful rocks that other people had painted and hidden for people to find, and they made us so happy we decided to re-hide them and add some that we decorated ourselves.
Why do you want to do that?
It made us happy when we found our rocks, so why not make more for other people to find?
Do you have any good news?
Yeah, I'm not in the hospital. I'm a nurse at St. Luke's, and so this is my first stretch where I've had 3 or 4 days off, and I'm loving it. Walking in nature and seeing the fall leaves change, and yeah, just taking that time to just appreciate the community and not have to think about COVID.
Well, what brings you out here today?
The colors. I have some time on my hands. I just got the car washed after coming back. I had to see some more color. My yard's drab, it's dried out. I had to see some color.
You look around, what do you see?
I see all the colors, all the changes coming, and it's exciting, man.
Do you have a favorite thing about fall?
Fall?
Yeah.
No, I like it all. I just like living in Boise, man.
I love when the trees have a back glow to them and they just seem to be on fire.
Probably the leaves changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would say the
And,
leaves changing and the
weather.
cooler weather, especially
weather.
after this heat wave.
Yeah.
What do you like about fall? What's your favorite thing?
Our last day of September is a great day to celebrate. The weather in September is just gorgeous.
Here's the bad news.
What's that?
This is October 1st.
Okay, well, time flies.
It doesn't get any better than this. This is Idaho. Does not get better than this.
I was going to ask if you had any good news, but I can't think of any better news than that.
This is good news.
You know what else is good news? This weather is going to last at least through the weekend. And the sunshine? Well, at least through tonight's setting. Another look at what's great and colorful about Idaho in the fall. What's great about the 208? The state or the show? We'll take both. Let us know at 208-321-5614. Maybe you've got a story idea we haven't heard about yet. Send it to us and tell us about it. All right, Donna appreciates a story about painting rocks for healthcare workers, but says this: the best way people can support healthcare workers is to model good behavior. Wear a mask, challenge misinformation when you hear it, have those hard discussions about vaccination, contact lawmakers. Act like a pandemic is going on, she says, as a nurse. Anyone who acts in bad faith, frivolously, and illegally can only blame themselves. Accordingly, pay that bill yourself, Lieutenant Governor says Toby about, well, losing her legal battle and then asking for $50,000 one-time addition to her budget for year 2023. I'm happy that people are acknowledging frontline workers for putting themselves in harm's way. Why aren't teachers getting the same respect and acknowledgement, asks Ann Meridian. Well, Ann, we actually have a story about that coming up on Monday. Tune in. We'll tell you about it then. Have a good weekend.